Imagine you are sitting in the exam hall, you open your paper, and the clock immediately starts ticking down. It is exactly like the final, high-stakes laps of a Formula One race. Every single second counts, and every decision you make determines whether you end up on the podium or spinning out on a crucial hairpin turn. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we are pulling back the curtain on Cambridge Information Technology 9626, while also exploring the broader computer science exam strategies that absolutely apply to syllabuses like 0417, 0478, 2210, and 9618. We are specifically diving into Section 8.1, Controlling Data Input, Validation Techniques, and Drop-Down Menus. Now, to really understand this, I want you to picture two types of students taking this exam. First, we have Alex. Alex is basically an encyclopedia. He overloads his answers with raw computer science facts, but he offers zero analysis. Then we have Sam. Sam rushes the track, she races through the questions, completely missing the command word requirements, and crashes right before the finish line. Today, we are going to look at their flawed answers, break down exactly what the examiners are actually searching for, and show you how to apply a pit crew level strategy to your exam timing and structure. Let's dive in. 15. We are establishing the stakes right away here because this single topic, controlling data input and validation, accounts for approximately 15% of the total marks in your Paper 2 exam. That is not just some minor detail you can skim over the night before. That is a massive chunk of your grade waiting to be claimed. In Formula One terms, 15% is the difference between starting in pole position and starting at the back of the grid. This isn't just about knowing what a drop-down menu is or memorizing the definition of a length check. It is about understanding how to deploy that knowledge exactly the way the Cambridge grading rubric demands within a tight time limit. Here is our strategic roadmap for securing those crucial marks today. We will start with a 15% opportunity, move into the core cognitive domains and command words, break down the procedural framework for writing answers, master critical analysis using the Peel method, and finally, look at top examiner warnings. Section 1. The 15% opportunity, elevating your answers. The syllabus emphatically highlights a very clear distinction. Top-performing students do not just memorize isolated facts. This is exactly where our student Alex goes wrong. Alex looks at an 8-mark question about database validation and writes down every single validation check he can think of. Range check, length check, presence check, format check. But guess what? His paper comes back covered in red pen marks, scoring maybe a 2 out of 8. Why? Because you have to avoid superficial breadth. Instead, you need to prioritize analytical depth. You have to exhibit a connected conceptual understanding. What does that actually mean for you? It means when they throw a completely bizarre, unfamiliar context at you on the exam, let's say a database for a specialized deep-sea research facility, you don't panic. You transfer your core knowledge of validation techniques right into that new scenario seamlessly, explaining exactly why a drop-down menu is critical for selecting ocean depth zones. And hey, before we continue and look at how to actually structure that perfect answer, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Click that subscribe button and hit the bell icon right now. Section 2. The core cognitive domains. What the examiners target. Everything comes down to these 4 pillars: knowledge, understanding, application, and analysis. Every single question you face in Section 8.1 is designed to poke and prod at these specific domains. The academic benchmarks here require logical, structured reasoning. They aren't looking for simple rote recall. They don't just want you to define a range check. They want you to apply it to a specific data field, analyze why it is the absolute best choice, and prove you understand its limitations. This is where you have to decode the command words. If the question says evaluate, you cannot just describe. This is where our other student, Sam, spins out. Sam sees a question about drop-down menus and just describes what they look like, totally missing the command word evaluate. To hit the application and analysis domains, top students use the Peel framework. Point, evidence, explanation, link. You make your point about the validation method. You provide evidence from the exam scenario. You give an explanation of how it works or why it's beneficial, and you link it back to the overall system integrity. That is how you turn a red-marked answer into a green check-marked masterpiece. Section 3. The procedural framework. How top students get marks. The method mark strategy is an absolute game changer. Think of the examiner as your pit boss, checking the telemetry of your race car. They want to see the data. This grading principle means the examiners are actually looking to reward your methodology and your clear working. Even if your final output or your specific code isn't 100% perfect, if you can show a logical process for how you set up that validation rule or how you configured that drop-down menu, you are capturing method marks.
Process matters just as much as the final product. You are showing them the engine running, not just the painted car.
And here is exactly how you capture those method marks. This brilliant 5-step procedural framework is your standardized sequence. It is your pit-stop routine to systematically process complex data validation tasks. 1. Identify the key elements of the problem. What is the data type? 2. Acquire the relevant IT principles. Is it a presence check or a lookup list? 3. Execute your analysis and listen closely to this part. Show clear working. 4. Verify your results. And 5. Present it in the appropriate format. If you make this sequence a habit, you are practically bulletproofing your exam responses. Stop scrolling. Subscribe to our YouTube channel Ace the Exams at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. We've helped thousands of students improve by 2 to 3 grade boundaries. Join them right now by subscribing to @acetheexams_IGCSE and turn on all notifications so you never miss our weekly exam strategy sessions.
For that crucial final step of presenting the information, you must adhere to strict conventions, proper headings, correct terminology, appropriate formats, and clear annotation. If you build an incredible validation routine but present it as a messy, unlabeled block of text, you are bleeding marks unnecessarily. Presentation is the packaging of your knowledge. Now let's do a quick interactive workshop. Challenge 1, data scan. Imagine a complex database table on your screen right now with customer ages, email addresses, and subscription tiers. You have 60 seconds on the clock. What is the core trend? It's that the subscription tier has only 3 options. So what's the best input method? A drop-down menu using a lookup table. Challenge 2, find the flaw. Listen to this sentence. I will use a format check to make sure that user types in the right subscription tier. Did you spot the flaw? A format check verifies the pattern of characters, like an email address structure. It does not verify that a specific word like premium was typed correctly. That is a terminology error that loses marks instantly.
Section 4. Mastering critical analysis, pushing for top grades.
True comparative analysis requires 4 distinct elements. If an exam question asks you to evaluate a drop-down menu versus a text input field with a format check, you cannot just describe them. You have to identify similarities and differences. You need to use comparative connectives like whereas, conversely, or similarly. You must support each comparison with evidence straight from the scenario. And finally, you have to draw a concrete conclusion about their relative importance. Force yourself to evaluate the alternatives. Let's do challenge 3, speed writing. You have 30 seconds to mentally draft a Peel paragraph. Ready? Point. A drop-down menu restricts user choices. Evidence. In the hospital scenario, it limits blood type entries to valid options like O positive or A negative. Explanation. This prevents typographical errors that a simple format check might miss, ensuring absolute data integrity. Link. Therefore, the drop-down menu is the superior method for critical medical data entry. Boom. Full marks.
And this right here perfectly illustrates the computer science success blueprint. The difference between an average candidate and a top-tier candidate comes down to depth. Descriptive analyses merely summarizes what the data is, saying, a drop-down menu lets you pick from a list. Okay, that is purely descriptive. Evaluative analysis, on the other hand, judges alternatives and makes justified recommendations, saying, a drop-down menu is superior to a text field in this specific context because it eliminates transcription errors and enforces strict data integrity, which is vital for the company's automated sorting system. Do you see the difference? The first is a red mark from the examiner. The second is a bright green check mark. That is evaluative analysis at work. Section 5. Top examiner warnings, the survival tactics. Please burn this quote into your memory. Candidates consistently confuse key terminology. The principal examiners are practically begging you here. Always define your terms before using them in extended responses. Never, ever assume the examiner knows what you mean, or that they will give you the benefit of the doubt. You must proactively define your terms, whether it is an existence check, a limit check, or a lookup table. This also ties directly into your time management matrix. If you spend 15 minutes vaguely rambling without defining your terms, you are wasting precious race time. You need to decode the command word immediately, plan your Peel structure in the first minute, execute the writing, and move on. Precision saves time. Let's break down the top 3 fatal mistakes candidates make during these exams and the exact corrections needed to safeguard your grade. First, answers are too vague. The fix? Provide specific details using the Peel framework. Second, students forget to check format and presentation. The fix? Always verify your presentation against the conventions we discussed earlier. Show you're working clearly. And third, this is a huge one, ignoring the scenario. If they give you a scenario about an airline booking database, your answer cannot be a generic textbook definition. You must make your answers specific to the airline context given. If you don't, you are leaving guaranteed marks on the table. So, we arrive at the ultimate question. Will you leave 15% of your Paper 2 grade to chance, or will you actively apply this strategy? Remember our 3 rules that guarantee top marks: command word decoding, Peel framework application, and the time management matrix. Students who implement these computer science strategies see an average improvement of 2 whole grade boundaries. But that only happens if they practice consistently with our weekly videos. Here's your final reminder. Subscribe to our YouTube channel Ace the Exams at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Subscribe right now to @acetheexams_IGCSE and click that bell. Don't let another exam pass you by. Drop a comment below with your target grade for computer science and the biggest challenge you're facing. Our team responds to every comment. Like and share this explainer with a study partner. Ace the Exams. Your Cambridge success starts here.